In this game, I strategically bait his Dynamax in the early game. So the lead is initially Kingler, his Kingler versus my Machamp. Kingler has really high defense, and it's also a massive threat to my entire team. So he knows he can eat an attack, but I just have to stay in and get off damage with my Machamp. So that's why he does go for the Swords Dance, though, because I'm not even Flame Orb yet at this point, so he knows he's not going to be taking that much damage. So obviously he's going to attack now because the next hit will KO him. Uh, so basically I have to decide what Mon I want to stack. So I go out into Slowbro, even though I know that it will get 2-shot, or potentially Kingler could even have X Scissor. But there is a chance, it says 58% chance it'll probably have X Scissor. But yeah, oftentimes Slowbro is otherwise a pretty good counter because it would be like the Superpower Rock Slide liquidation set. If it's not set up, Slowbro can generally go for like a Scald Burn. But here, I basically just have to choose one of my team members to sack because, again, this Kingler is a massive threat to my entire team. It basically beats like almost all my team besides like one Mon. So here, what I'm actually doing is going Slowbro as part of my plan because you can see it took me a while on the timer to come up with this strategy I wanted to go for. But I wanted to play it this way to attempt to bait his early Dynamax because I want to basically make my opponent think that my entire team is going to be weak to this Kingler and basically outsped by the Kingler. And then halfway through that thinking process, I was thinking that it's probably my opponent would also agree that it's unlikely because I still have a full team of 6 Mons, although it is possible. But Kingler is a Mon only known for average speed. It doesn't have, I would say it's an extremely average speed stat. 174 is kind of the average stat for all the Mons in Ranbats. But so here what I'm doing is I have to stack them on anyway, so I want to keep my more offensive threat like the Machamp because I don't have very good offense on my team. I think my team is a little bit too defensive and can't really break through the opponent's team with just the Mons I was given in general. So Machamp is one of those Mons I would want to keep because it's one of those really good Dynamax Mons, whereas I feel like a Slowbro that doesn't have T-Wave just is something that probably the opponent can take advantage of and set up on. But I would say Slowbro with T-Wave can be really nasty. It can stop all that by going for either T-Wave or Scald Burn against whatever the opponent wants to do. But that wasn't this set. I think I was the Future Sight set, unfortunately. So what this Slowbro ends up being is a really good option because I can actually go for a teleport as part of either getting advantage or potentially having a chance at forcing or leading my opponent into an early Dynamax. So that was the ploy that I came up with. So then I was really happy when he did go for that agility because it meant that I can conserve team advantage, like overall HP advantage in the game, because I can just teleport, get my regenerator back, and go into Comfey. So I was basically at this point forcing my opponent to try to go for a cheeky Dynamax because his only real options are to Dynamax or to die right here or to swap out. So basically he has no good options. So I'm basically conserving a really big advantage no matter what my opponent wants to do in this situation. Because they actually do tank a Life Orb hit, and this set is Life Orb 78% of the time. I think they expected that, but I was actually the choice spec set, so that's something I took into account before I made all of these plans, because I actually did want them to Dynamax. So basically they do live here because I had Bullet Punch in the back, so it didn't matter. But they actually do die to the Life Orb because once they Dynamax, basically liquidation changes into Max Geyser, so that's why they end up taking the Life Orb hit and going down anyway. So basically this Kingler was never a threat which was why I made that series of plays that it was never a threat in that based on basically the plays that I made. Um, so here I basically can just win the game at this point because they do end up forfeiting soon because I basically sort of just won the game with that early game ploy that I developed. And here I'm just going into slow grow because I can get regenerator plus I'm in the rain. Plus I can teleport or do whatever based on what he goes for. And so he does swap into the Stoutland, but I noticed that it's Intimidate and it's not even Scrappy. I do have a Ghost type in the back, and um, basically from this amount of HP, even if he's banded, he won't be doing that much to slow grow. So I can just stay in. But yeah, basically my opponent realizes that he's at a really big disadvantage at this point in the game, so he ends up forfeiting.